Why is it even a cult camera? Secret cult society?
Hi! If you've got here by sheer curiosity or by the almighty algorithm gods, let's have a talk about the Pouva Start. First off, why is it even a cult camera? No, really, let me know. I remember actually buying this because I've seen a review on Lomography that mentioned the word cult, and that really got me excited, and I wanted to jump on the bandwagon of cult cameras and join the Pouva cult or whatever. Does it exist? Please let me know. I want to be a part of that society. But anyway, to keep it short, it's basically a hardened plastic camera that shoots 120 film. It has 6x6 exposures, and it's pretty basic really. It only has like two settings for aperture, which is sunny and I guess cloudy, but it's in German, so I don't know. It's
Sonne
and Trub.
Trub.
And for the shutter speed, you only have two settings, which is the Zeit and Moment, which corresponds to, I think, 1/50th of a second for the moment, and Zeit is bulb. My camera has a viewfinder, actually. It's kind of crooked. It gives you an idea of how to frame your shots. In order to shoot the camera, you need to actually unscrew this front lens barrel. Otherwise, the camera would not shoot. Choose your settings, and then with the press of the shutter, it's very easy. 2 years ago, when I bought this camera, I was really excited. The word cult kind of made its way into my head and made me feel like this was a cool camera. And I don't know, I think over the course of 2 years I maybe shot it like 10 times. Mostly because it has a few shortcomings, a few cons, but also like a few positive aspects. Its selling point was the soft, almost soft-focused lens. If you shoot it wide open, this delivers almost a pictorialist quality, I think. And that's what I'm mostly looking in for any camera, to be honest, and any film that I shoot. And every photo that I can actually produce is to somehow render semi-pictorialistic in a sense. I think this can actually deliver that. First I was like, I don't know, enchanted by this soft look that the plastic lens provide, but I did use it very sporadically. One of the shortcomings of this camera was that the settings are in German. I would sometimes forget what Zeit and Moment meant while having film loaded into the camera, so I could not test the speed, and I would just be like, okay, maybe it was this. Sometimes the photos would turn out maybe underexposed or overexposed. Another issue was that the 1/50th of a second is a pretty low shutter speed, and if you have shaky hands and mostly on medium format, the photos can come out blurry. I would not always feel like I want to put on a tripod and just, you know, take my time with it. Another reason why I don't shoot this camera that much is because I just don't like the 6x6 compositing framing. You know, it's pretty weird for me. I don't like my compositions to fit in a square. That was one of the reasons. Another reason was that sometimes when I would take the camera out of the bag, this handle right here would sometimes get gripped on something, and the back would accidentally open and have light leaks come in, even expose my film that I just shot. So that was a bit of a negative. Another con of this camera is that you have to manually wind it, and it's not very precise, so you can maybe overlap images or leave too much space between the negative and not get your full shots. And although it's rudimentary, I still have some love for this camera, but I think over the time I fell out of love with it because I have gear acquisition syndrome, and I got many other cameras that I was more excited to try and to use on my shootings. Let's have a walk around and go out on a photo shoot with this camera, see what it can do, and see my latest experience with it and see what photos it can produce. And for today's expedition, I'll be pairing the Pouva Start with the Ilford HP3 film that actually expired in, yeah, that's right, in 1963. That's a long time ago. And see what we get. As I said, I like experimentation, so I think this is an interesting pairing. Maybe it will fail, maybe we won't get any images, but we'll give it our best shot, right? So I just stopped here for a second to shoot this power plant that's nearby me. Just, to get the things going for the day, just get a photo in. And I knew this also looks good. There's this steam that's always coming out of the big furnaces. So I took my first shot and then I tried to advance the fill and something was alright. I felt like a slight resistance and I thought, okay, something is wrong inside there. And it was the film tape that's supposed to keep the film flat, when you roll the first shot. I think it somehow broke and the film kind of wound itself backwards. And also the back of the camera kind of wanted to do this. And I was really worried because I didn't broke daylight. But I had to see what the problem was. My intuition was correct when it told me that, okay, the film must have wound itself back somehow. And it's not under the paper where it should be. And I did open the camera in my car for a second just to see. I saw the first burn as I was like, okay, these grains are actually exposed now, but I think the rest of the film might be salvageable. So I returned back home and took the camera in the dart bag and actually got the film to wind properly. And yeah, this was a wrong start to this entire expedition of testing the camera. But luckily I always take a few more cameras with me, just finish some roll films that I have left. After that, my first stop would actually be in Bucharest, the Romanian Athenaeum, which I was very excited to shoot in, but surprise, surprise, you're not allowed in with cameras inside. But don't tell anybody. I managed to sneak in 2 cameras that I had in a bag, but yeah, nothing came out. Like this camera under very low light situations, you can't really use it without a tripod. I had a tripod with me, but I couldn't get it inside. And even though I tried multiple exposures and some handheld, bulb action, no, nothing. Nothing came out, just some spots of light where there were these spotlights, but nothing really came out of that. But I also shot a few snaps outside, as you can see here, and those turned out okay. If you give this camera, or rather I think if you give this film enough light, you will have some results, but it's very expired. What do you expect? I really wanted to photograph this street here. It's like a very narrow alley in Bucharest that not many people know about it, and let's keep it that way. But you can see, if you look up, you see this very great opening. I don't know, it looks very good. And I thought I would have enough light to shoot this there, but it turns out if you shoot 60 years old expired film, it won't really perform that great. And yeah, I think this photo also didn't turn out that great. As for should you buy this? I mean, if you've come this far into the video, I think you're intrigued by it. So yeah, give it a shot. But I wouldn't pay more than 20 bucks for this. I think that's what I got this for the first time. I've actually ordered another one now, and I bought it on an action for €2 or so. So if you're searching on eBay, you might get lucky and get it for cheap. And to wrap up my thoughts about this camera, I think it's a great little tool to get your creative juices flowing, to make you feel like you're shooting on something special, and to feel that maybe your images will look like they were taken at a different time. And 90% of the time, the photos will suck. But I think the 10%ers are worth the buck for this camera. And I think if you're looking for this type of imagery, this camera is for you. Despite the fact that 90% of the images that you will shoot with it will be trash, I think the 10%ers are worth it. So yeah, if you found this interesting or you have your own experience with this camera, let me know in the comments.